So, welcome to the Funked in the Head podcast. Today we have the wonderfully talented Tristan, aka 3-Day Monk. So, tell us, when did your journey in music begin?
Oh God. Some years ago. I mean, officially, I guess technically last year, during lockdown, decided to release a charity single Take, which was for Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Before that, I've been playing kind of like various kind of outfits, but officially, yeah, April last year.
Wow. And the name? Does the name have some meaning?
When I was performing as like a two-piece, we were trying to come up with a name. I didn't really want to perform under myself, and after just searching around a bit, the name, it just kind of came up when I was looking for interesting Japanese-related things, and it just felt relatable because it's kind of about someone who does something for X amount of time before giving up, and it was kind of like previous ventures in a sense for me, and also the thing that I didn't want to be. So yeah, it's kind of weird and relatable.
Very fitting.
Yeah.
So, what changed then? Like, what inspired you to go out and decide to do this for a living?
I mean, I always kind of wanted to do it. And I guess just with lockdown happening and nothing else really being viable, it felt in a way like the worst time to release music, but also the best time to just do anything and everything, because you're limited in a sense. Obviously, you can't do gigs and whatnot, but it was like, great, now I can explore all the freedom that I want. Just wanting to be really creative and just do whatever I can, really.
It's good you can do that though.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of musicians tend to just tunnel themselves into a certain thing and carry on like that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too many people are fixated on the way that you're kind of told that you have to do, like the industry, like release a single, spend like thousands upon thousands promoting it, and probably get lackluster attention for it, and then go back and do that all over again.
Exactly. It's the thing with lockdown, though. I think loads of musicians have figured out how to do it by themselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've noticed like a difference in just how I've kind of approached things in the last couple of months, whereas like no one really tells you how to do anything, and you just kind of suss it out and start figuring out ways that work for you. I think that's kind of what it is. There's no right way to do it. You just got to kind of go about it your own way. Yeah.
As long as you feel comfortable, innit?
Yeah.
So, your first single, when was that released?
So Take was released April the 1st, 2020, and that's off an upcoming debut album, which I have no idea when that's coming out now. But yeah, with lockdown being in effect and kind of just halting the generic kind of routine of touring and promoting that way, I kind of wanted to do this seasonal project. So there was no kind of like limit as to what I can do. Like, these aren't necessarily songs that I'll be like touring and gigging religiously and stuff. They're not conventional releases, but it's more just I want to express kind of how the year's going for me and the kind of music that I just want to venture into for the sake of it. So the seasonal project started properly. I think the first release was October, with Like to Be White, the first single, and then the first EP was after that in November. And it's kind of been every couple of months since. I think actually the follow-up was February, and the single I Wish You Were Dead was January. And then newest single just came out today.
So, from your first single to now, I mean, obviously today, has anything changed in your process of?
Not really. I mean, it's gotten harder, I guess, in terms of making music, because it's some of the songs initially I had like ideas of them before we started this seasonal project, but for the most part, it's that I write the music within the season, and then we go and record it, and it's been fun, it's been challenging, it's been stressful as hell. I think with this EP, I think I finished demoing the songs like 2 to 3 weeks before we went and recorded it. So it was quite stressful, and I didn't know if we were necessarily going to be able to find the person to perform on the single track as well for the shakuhachi part, but made it work. But no, yeah, I mean, my process is pretty much that I I sit down at some point within the season. We've got the dates already set ahead of when we're going to go into the studio. And so it's just a case of me coming up with the songs. I demo them all at home, write all the parts as best I can. The only thing that really kind of changes, maybe the drum parts just get a lot better. Jake kind of just adjusts them. Like, I give him the ideas because I'm not the greatest drum player ever at all. So I write the parts and he's like, yeah, I get the vibe we're going for. And then I'd be like, yeah, can you just tidy this up here, add in a drum fill here? And then, yeah, that's kind of how it works.
That's good.
But
You
more
can
or
work.
less, yeah, more or less what I've kind of got when I demo it at home and take to the studio, that's pretty much what it's going to be like. It's just going to sound better. But yeah, and then usually we record it over 5 days. So
Amazing. And like, I was listening to your songs before the interview, and I must say they're quite varied.
yeah.
Like your styles. How easy is that for you to jump from one to another? Is it quite a natural thing for you?
Yeah, incredibly easy. I think when I initially wrote like music for the debut, I kind of knew, I guess, the kind of stuff that I wanted to write. It's more similar and it flows a lot more like concise. Like they kind of fit more within that kind of specific type of rock genre. With this though, I mean, I listen to a variety of music anyway. Like the influences that I put up when I like send emails to people, I don't think are necessarily even what I write anyway. They're quite varied. Like you listen to like something like I to Be White and I Wish You Were Dead, which are nothing, and then you see my influences, which are like Fantastic Negrito, so like a blues kind of roots musician, Ben Howard, who's just like, well, dark, sad but amazing, and then Hiatus Kaimuti, who are like a neo soul band, and I don't think I sound like any of them, but I think there are like little bits here and there where you can hear it, but at the same time it's nothing like them. Yeah, that's kind of like I've definitely drifted a bit from your question, but yeah, I find it easy. I find it really easy. It's just I don't try and like with this project, I think, which is great as well, is because I'm fitting within the seasonal thing, and I'm like, okay, so winter, we're getting Osaka. It's going to be a bit more of a sadder one because it's generally just what winter's associated with. But there's some rock stuff on there as well, but not what you kind of expect. Without saying too much. But yeah, it just flows. Like it flows.
Good. I was wondering because I know some people find it difficult to kind of break out of a specific genre they've put themselves into. They find it hard to do anything different.
Like that's why I've kind of just done this project, to be fair, because I don't want to ever make music just within a specific genre. I don't want to just be just a rock band. And I think I've kind of done that already. Like I'm showing from the get-go before anyone can just be like, oh, debut album, this is what it sounds like. So this is what he's like. He's like, no, listen to the seasonal project. This kind of stuff's probably going to reappear again. I mean, like I've gone from I to Be White, which is like grungy, to I Wish You Were Dead, which everyone calls like cinematic rock now. And then everyone's like, oh, so he's like a cinematic kind of alternative rock musician. Listen to Osaka. And like, okay, so now it's like some folk type thing. I'm like, yeah, exactly. But it flows. Like you can listen to all 3 singles in a row. You can still, or you can listen to an EP all the way through. And every song can be different on EP. Like Aki's definitely on the second EP. Every song is completely different genre, but you can still listen to each song separately, and it feels kind of almost like a journey, but then you can listen to it from start to finish and it still flows. And you can do that with the last EP. I don't know how it works, but it just flows, which is nice.
It works.
Exactly. That's all that matters.
So talking about your music, if you could describe your music in just 3 words, to try and convince someone to go listen to it, what would they be?
It would be, it sounds different. That's I don't know. What would you suggest? I have no idea.
I asked the question. I like making people think, but I don't like thinking myself. I did. Who did I ask? Gefahrgeist?
Yeah. I know Jack Hinks.
Yeah. Well, we interviewed Gefahrgeist before Jack Hinks, and Jack Hinks got in touch with us and we interviewed him. And I asked them that question.
What was their response? I
can't remember. They did funny, depressing, and something else, I think they said. It's like you're meant to convince people to listen to it.
Yeah. Some people might dig that.
Yeah. So shout out to them guys anyway. And what has been your most favourite song to write?
That's very that's an extremely challenging question. I guess I Wish You Were Dead was really fun, but I also really enjoyed writing 17. Actually, no, that really annoyed me. That was super frustrating. I remember there was one bit where I couldn't get the drums down, and it really irritated me for ages. Well, I say ages; it was like a couple of hours. Probably, I think I Wish You Were Dead. I think it was the one that flowed incredibly easy, though it was probably the most like creative, like out there kind of song like I wrote. Like I came up with pretty much the gist of it, and I was just making food in the kitchen, and I came up with the chorus that way, and I just started singing it, and I was like, damn, that's the vibe. Cool. Laid down like I think I played like just the root notes on guitar, didn't touch it properly for a couple of weeks, and I just kept singing it, and I was like, well, this is gonna be something. Worked out the piano. It made me like a couple of hours, and I can't play piano at all, so I don't know how I figured out these chords, but it just worked. And then next thing I knew, I think it was probably like the same day or something, I pretty much worked out the drums that same day, and then came downstairs, took over the dining room where I'm in now, just laid up like the MIDI keyboard I've got, and I was like, strings will be cool here. And I worked that out in like half an hour, and I was like, this is beautiful. And yeah, so probably that.
Amazing. It's nice when things fall into place, isn't it?
Oh.
So you haven't played live.
I haven't played live since 2018, maybe, I think. Yeah, oh God, that's sad.
It is sad, but I hope, fingers crossed, you know.
Yeah, it's allowed me to be creative anyway.
Months.
Yeah. I mean, we were actually prepping as well. Like I found a few people to play live with. That's the chore, finding people to play music with. It's so difficult, but I managed to find these two people who are absolutely like just great laugh to be with, and it's just when you play with the right people and you know it, because it's just absolutely amazing feeling, and when you nail things and just you know how to work together. Yeah, we were prepped. We had a gig lined up, everything, I think, for April, and then lockdown happened in March. We're like, sad. But I don't think I've only seen one of them since as well. So hopefully, with restrictions lifting, maybe soon we can start something and potentially look at maybe gigging towards the end of the year.
Fingers crossed. So I did say a few months ago it'll only be a few more months.
Oh gosh, I remember thinking the same thing. Minor. The government haven't said much, and what a stupid thing that was to say. It's a reason.
Hindsight's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what was you doing before 3daymonk then?
I mean, I've been playing kind of just random solo bits for ages, and I've been writing music for God knows how long, just never kind of really went anywhere. I guess I always tried to get a band together, that just never worked out. For the most part, saving up money, sorting out equipment and stuff. But I also worked in film and TV for a couple of years, freelance, and that's my other passion. Nothing like as in major roles. I worked on some cool productions, but like entry level stuff. And then I realized it was, again, like most industries, it's one of those things where you've got to grind, but the grind isn't necessarily worth it, or you're not necessarily going to go anywhere unless you know someone or you just get lucky. And I wasn't feeling like I was getting lucky. So it's one of those things, I'm still pursuing that as well, but I'm going to do it on my own terms. So there's some plans to do something going forward, but it's all a lot of self-funding stuff. So I released like my debut film, 2019, I think, November, I think. And there's plans to potentially shoot another one at the end of this year. And yeah, we'll go from there. See how that goes.
Amazing. It is a shame that you need to what's the word? Know someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with most creative things, it's like that, unfortunately. It's knowing someone, having a bit of money behind you, unfortunately, which is a shame because I usually find the best creatives are usually the ones who don't have that kind of backing, usually because they've got that kind of that feeling of like being run down stuff, which makes them such great creatives. But yeah, it's an industry, both of them really, which is just dominated by the kind of upper class people who live in London, really. Yeah, nice and bleak.
Anyway, back to your music.
Mm.
You had a good amount of radio play as well, I believe.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
How does it feel to get that kind of recognition?
Yeah, it's cool. It's definitely, it felt great for I Wish You Were Dead when it started kind of happening and people started actually getting involved in it and enjoying it. Mostly because, yeah, before the last two releases, I had no idea what I was doing. It was that kind of almost ridiculous thing of do a little bit of this and people will start picking it up, and Facebook friends are always great. And it's like, no, because no one sees your stuff, no one follows. You have to like pester people. But I started getting a bit more savvy, I guess, actually looking what bands are doing, but also trying to do things a bit more my way in terms of like communication and whatnot. And yeah, like I think that's why there was this slight. I was hoping to put "I Wish You Were Dead" out actually late last year. I think it was initially going to be more towards like November, but everything got pushed back, and that's why the summer EP came later, and everything's kind of been a bit delayed. So I spent like the couple months actually trying to prep for the release for the first time and just learning a lot of things and who to contact, who to reach out to, how to present yourself and whatnot, but completely DIY. And I think that's why it feels great. Like I haven't paid anyone or paid for some ludicrous PR. I had a few people reach out to me, making offers of these like up to £1,000 plus. And then I see some of the places that they're contacting, and I'm like, these are people that I've found, these people I've reached out to. Like I've done this all myself. Save that money, and then I can use that money to then record the next couple of tracks. So yeah, it's been really satisfying seeing that kind of happen and people engaging and even just getting like new fans like did like a blog or something, and someone reached out on like my YouTube channel after seeing it, and then even made like a Twitter post and then bought the single from it. And I was like, cool, that's literally just from me grinding away. And some people might just find that minor, just like the odd thing like that, but it's cool because it's like you actually grafted for it and it's somewhat paid off, and that's like a loyal fan who's then going to come back. So yeah, it's really cool, and it's awesome just hearing your music on the radio and people actually being like, "Oh, this is a beautiful track," and I'm just like, "Oh wow, really? You like this?" Like I was quite shocked when there was so much love for "I Wish You Were Dead" and people reaching out to me, people who hadn't. Some people didn't even realize I was making music. I was like, "How do you not know? I've been like posting this stuff like years, like trying to get people's attention, but that's the algorithms." And yeah, it's just an awesome feeling because like you think you've done something cool, but there's always that kind of part of you where you're like, yeah, but this, I think everyone just thinks whatever they make is good. you kind of have to have that mentality. But when people are actually backing it up, and it's people that don't have to say they like it, like not necessarily even close friends, but people you've just met and they're actually reaching out to you, or like random people saying, really love this track, just happen to see this here, then you're like, okay, cool, this is a nice feeling. Appreciation.
It's cool. It is. And I think it's important for artists themselves to realize that self-promotion does work.
Yeah,
Don't
you
pay our
gotta,
money.
no, you definitely, like, I think it's a shame that a lot of artists, but I think that's the separation between those who really want it and those who don't. A lot of people kind of just hope that almost they can get away with doing the bare minimum and stuff's going to work out. And it just doesn't work, especially with these creative things. Like you got to think like there's tens of thousands of people who are probably like putting up music every day, and a lot of it is probably like of the worst quality. Not like dissing everyone's music, but like quite a lot of it that gets put up, generally it's just like some kind of thing where a guy's probably playing like a kazoo, but it's like probably coming through like the worst microphone like 10 miles away or something. You got to put the effort in, you've got to grind. And it's like when I've spoken to some engineers, Matt, who records my stuff, and he just says he's surprised that like bands who kind of can't somehow manage to even get, I don't know, like 500 to like $1,000, but there's like 5 of them in the band and they're not willing to pay that just to record some decent tracks. And it's like, what's a couple £100 if it's actually something that you want to invest in? But then you'll probably be the same person who's going to pay like $1,000 for PR. So what's that about?
That's it. So we mentioned it briefly, the COVID situation. What's the biggest effect it's had on you?
I guess it is just not being able to play with the people I play with, and just not being able to. You can get your music out to an extent, but then it's the same way, I guess, that everyone's getting their music out. Like you can't. I want to be able to do like an actual tour. Like I've never actually done a proper tour. I've done gigs here and there, but it's venturing out. And I think depending on the kind of musician you are, gigs aren't everything. But when you're like an indie kind of like unknown band, you could just go to that place and then that can make the difference. I guess the positive side of it is the fact that I've recorded all this material and whatnot. So when I get to doing gigs, they'll see all this material and they'll be like, oh wow, like there's such a variety. Because as soon as I see a gig like being posted, especially if it's like an unknown band, my first thing is going to be, right, I'm going to go onto the streaming service, I'm going to listen to their music, see what's their biggest song, have a listen if I dig it, and then after that, check a live performance and see if they're actually got the energy and the buzz, which is something I need to do. But yeah, so it's just not being able to gig really, which I think is the same for everyone really.
Oh yeah, it is pretty much just the same answer across the board.
And I'm not doing live stream gigs. I can't. They just became a thing. Like in lockdown, everyone did it, and after about 2 months, I don't know anyone who wasn't fed up of seeing them. It's just the same acoustic gigs, and I'm like, I love your songs, but now I've seen you do this 15 times. How long are we doing this for? It's just not the same.
It's not the same, and this is what I've been saying. It's the interaction, the personal interaction when you're actually at a live gig.
Yeah, you feed off the crowd. Like it's what makes it. Like the amount of gigs I've been to, like some big bands that I absolutely adore, and some smaller ones, like ones I've been proper hyped for. But you get there, and if the energy is not coming from the crowd, like they can make or break a live gig so much. I've gone to some venues and it's just absolutely insane, crammed, even if there's only like 100 people in the audience, but it's amazing. And then you go to like a bigger venue or something with like 1,000 capacity and everyone's got their arms folded. You can't just like, we're not moshing today.
We're just awkward.
Yeah.
So what I ask all the musicians this, I'm a huge advocate for mental health, and obviously in these times in lockdown and stuff, a lot of people are struggling, depression, anxiety, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what advice can you give for people that might be suffering?
Oh God. I mean, I think like I definitely did struggle for like a fair bit with it myself. But I've kind of like, in terms of like music side, I've kind of just gone off the basis of like social media is such a good thing to switch off from. Like I did a kind of I got off that summer last year, and that was like the best feeling ever. And I mean, I guess, you know, everyone kind of wants to be on it for that sense of connectivity, but it's not really connecting. It's a horrible feeling. I'm only on it for like, you know, the musician page. Like I'm getting rid of the personal pages and stuff ASAP. I'd say get off social media. Um, Explore kind of new ventures, whatever you can, like anything that you've been kind of tempted to almost do but you haven't for various reasons. Like venture into something new, try something new, and get out. Like when the weather's, it's not that nice actually here today, but and yeah, just get out and enjoy the weather really, and try not to always dwindle on things that you almost want to be, and the negative kind of effects of like, oh, I should be here and I should be doing this at this point in my life and whatnot, which is definitely something that's kind of hit me. But I've tried to now go more with the feeling of just, it's probably going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. And you just got to kind of go along with the journey. Yeah.
And enjoy it while you can.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's great advice. I deleted my Facebook ages ago.
Yeah.
The business Twitter account, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm honestly, after this next well, the last single and EP come out, that personal account's going, because it's chaos. You don't need it. It's just a depression like tool in the making. Not even in the making, it's right there.
So your newest single, Osaka, is that how you say it?
Yeah, like the Japanese city, Osaka. Yeah.
And what's the story behind that one
Um, I think the song partially, weirdly enough, actually, I think I wrote a bit of it last year. I think almost like a couple months kind of going into lockdown. I think when like there was all those discussions of restrictions being lifted and whatnot, but nothing was kind of happening, and we're kind of seeing negative effects coming from that from people. But then like things being lifted, and then it's like, oh no, everything's getting worse now. That, and I was working for like the past year and a bit, well, for most of lockdown up until like a month or so ago. I was working for admin for a care company. So I was hearing obviously like all these really sad, depressing stories of people just suddenly out of nowhere, COVID. It's like, oh, they're doing great, drop, they're gone. And I think that was like the main kind of, that was pretty much the inspiration for Osaka, that kind of uncertainty, and just this aspect of having like a loved one, and suddenly, you know, you're knowing that their time is now limited through no fault of their own or yours. You can't do anything about it, but just being in utter denial for the loss of that person. I guess, yeah, like, it's inspired by kind of like people I know who've been affected through this whole pandemic, and kind of the concept of if that happened to myself is what influenced it. And yeah, that's pretty much what inspired the song. And I was just like, as soon as I kind of came up with that guitar riff, I properly sat down with it like a couple months ago and made all those other adjustments to it to be the song that it is today. And yeah, it's just hands down a winter track. It's just a reflection, I guess, of that kind of like of all the other kind of EPs and singles and whatnot. It's a reflection of the kind of feelings I was feeling through the winter period. So yeah, it's a nice sad one.
out now, isn't it?
Yeah, today.
And where can people buy, stream, listen, etc.?
For for generous purchasing that actually makes a difference to my life, Bandcamp is the number one. Can't stress that enough. It's just, yeah, so much better than anywhere else. Streaming wise, it's on everywhere. So like Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Apple Music, and all sorts. On my profile, on my social media, you can find it, or just, type in 3daymonk Osaka, it should come up.
We'll pop all the links underneath the video anyway.
I hate doing all that stuff. You gotta like find me on the socials.
So post-COVID, what are the big plans for the future? Say like in 2-3 years time, where do you want to be?
Are you saying that's how long COVID's gonna last? No. I think ideally by that time I'll have quite a bit of material. I've got quite a lot backlogged, and I've got some ideas of stuff I want to do. Couple albums under the belt, I reckon. And I really want to be exploring into the filmmaking side of it. So if that's shooting music videos for others, and obviously doing my own stuff and making short films and features. And I really want to get onto songwriting for other bands as well. That's a massive thing that I want to do. And I think that's another key inspiration or key reason for doing this seasonal project, to show the creative flair and the different kind of genres that I can tackle, so that I can then hopefully just meet some bands and start creating music for them. Yeah, that's the plan. And hopefully have my own house. That would be really nice too.
Well, the countdown's on.
Reach out in 3 years.
It's possible. All being well.
Yeah.
As long as COVID is finished by this year.
Hopefully, yeah.
Right. If not, maybe rethink.
Our Lord and Saviour Boris, what will he say? It's what we're all dependent on. Won't go into politics.
No. I try and stay away. I don't even watch the news anymore.
Oh, me neither.
Just leave it. Just go outside and see what's going on.
Yeah, depends what today's saying.
Yeah. And before we go, is there anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to say, mention?
I guess clearly not prepared at all. I obviously want to say thanks for doing this, because this has been great. And yeah, just thanks to people, obviously, just actually pay attention to anything I say and post and whatnot, and to everyone who actually contributes and lets me make music for them, and Matty and Jake, who let me use their services and let me do really weird stuff in the studio and just say, sure, okay, we'll do that. Like just randomly singing into pianos and stuff like that. So thanks for letting me do the weird stuff. They're good to me. So yeah, that's me.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks so much. Sorry for coming on late-ish.
It's all right. Late as well. The difficulties of the school run.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was told.
But we will do these things, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you again. And keep
Thanks.
us posted on what you're working on and when it's released and stuff, and we'll give it a share about it.
Yeah, I do. Appreciate it so much. Thanks, Jen.
So many faces, so little time. Urgency, a question. It books in the set of eyes of the rain. Be static, I implore you. Repeat, entertain that. There's no out of this. There's no out of this. Take me back to Osaka. Let's bask in this moment one more time. Take me back to Osaka. Till tomorrow.